Hello? Oh, there we are. Yeah, I think we're good. Hello? Oh, there we are. Yeah, I think we're good. Alrighty then. Let's see. We've got some things coming in here. I'm gonna get to the big news here in a second. Here, we're just gonna wait for people if they are intending to want to come in here. I'm just gonna search around, see who's got the news up. We do have the news here, so I will get this going. We're gonna start off our stream here with flash news. So we get that started. I'm gonna share it and do this 10 hours. Just 2 hours to go. So this is the newest one. So we're gonna do this and we're gonna get the other things ready here.
First, let me extend a warm welcome to our distinguished ministers and chiefs of defense. Thank you for convening for today's 20th meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group. I'm Celeste Hollander, Assistant Secretary of Defense, and I'll serve as facilitator for today's contact group.
Большое количество сел на сегодняшний день мы обселяем. Сейчас планируем вывоз порядка 9 тысяч детей из Белгорода, Белгородского района, Шебекинского округа, Грайворонского района. Договариваемся с коллегами губернаторов. Вот 22 числа 1200 детей едут в Пензу, в Тамбов.
Пипец.
И вот там где-то долбанули.
There are so many things that I want to talk about. It's going to go insane. Transnistria yesterday, apparently some kind of attack took place. Now we're going to talk about, I can find it, of course. But I just want to talk to you about a few things here to start with. Of course, we have this right here, which I talked about this some time ago. I haven't been live for a while, but I do retweet things and keep myself updated. But here you are. Armenia is preparing for the Great War on its territory. The Pashin or whatever I think said that the war of Pashin, right? Yeah, said that a war may start in the end of the week if the country does not discuss this limitation and the creation of the border with Azerbaijan. Russia gave the go-ahead to Erdogan and guarantees that it will not intervene in the conflict. Right? Yeah. So fair enough, right there as well. This one's not in English, so I'm not gonna. Yes, this is just translations here. I did retweet that, but so obviously there was a war these guys fought some time ago, Karabakh, which was the area that Azerbaijan supposedly took back, which had Armenian-backed separatists within it. Azerbaijan took that back, and now they're wanting more. So that's reality there for you. Anyways, I'm sure you're here to talk and listen to this. Not okay, I can't pronounce that, but Yaskin or something like that said the French preparing 2,000 troops to be sent to Ukraine. Director of Russian Foreign Intelligence Sergei Narashkin has said that Russia has information that French is already preparing a military contingent, I guess, to be sent to Ukraine. Initially, it will be about 2,000 people. According to Narashkin, such a large unit will not be able to be transferred discreetly, so it will become a target for the Russian military. Le Monde newspaper today published a column by General Pierre Schily, something like that, chief of the staff of the French army, in which he wrote that the French is not immune to the tensions emerging around the world and that the country is preparing for the most difficult battles. So I was going to point out there, there we go. We have some more as well, so this is the second part. The French Defense Ministry has called Sergei words by the French military in Ukraine an irresponsible provocation. The maneuver organized by Russian Foreign Intelligence Director Sergei whatever, which you welcome in. Welcome. Long time no see. Once again illustrated Russia's systematic use of disinformation. We consider such provocations irresponsible. Rouch quoted a statement from the French defense minister as saying, earlier the UN said it could not confirm information about French preparing a contingent or about 2,000 people to be sent to Ukraine. I cannot confirm this confirmation, so I don't have a specific comment about that, but we call on all countries to do everything possible to de-escalate the situation, said Farhan Haq, deputy spokesman of the UN Secretary General. The French is preparing for the contingency of going to war, is certainly what they're doing. Now, they're not preparing to go into Ukraine. I don't believe that the French would do something like that. I mean, certainly in a moment here where yes, we have seen the Russians move forward quite a bit, but at the moment there's been a lot of push from the EU and as well as the United States. We're sort of getting back into a rhythm that I like seeing. Keep my eye on it. So what I've been taking a look at is definitely to tell you guys now that we are on a track back to being able to supply Ukraine with as much more ammunition as it needs. So the chances of France going in is low. They did say they were gonna go in if, and this is in reality, if Russia was to reach Kyiv, but that's far out. I mean, the future, One of the things that I did have, and I did retweet this. By the way, I just want to point this out as well. The Moldovan president, Mia Sandu, announced that Moldova will hold a referendum this year on joining the EU. I mean, that'll certainly do wonders for its economy. It has probably the worst economy in Europe. That is not even a joke. they've replaced the Russian official in command and the chief of the navy after the loss of almost a third of its fleet in the Black Sea. Admiral Alexander Mushev was officially introduced as acting commander-in-chief of the Russian army. This man right here. I'm not sure how much that's going to make a difference, but whatever. China actually released a map stating that if look at this. So the Chinese Defense Ministry said that China is ready to intervene militarily anywhere if the United States or NATO decides to attack, which is funny to say United States or NATO. United States in NATO decides to attack Russia, and this is how it will look like. Yeah. Well, listen, this is all just propaganda going back and forward. The Pakistani fighter jets are striking targets in Afghanistan. We've got Pakistani fighter fighting in Afghanistan. They've done that since the fucking day of dawn. French President Macron said that they could be going into Ukraine at any given moment, which is a statement in itself. But yeah, no, I'm not too worried about anything right now. But I have to keep an eye on it. So yeah, one thing I want to talk about as well is the Mexican border will get a lot harder to cross if you haven't heard about it. So far as I understand, the State Department or the Congress or whatever you guys call it have given the go-ahead for Texas to pass a law to enforce the border to ensure lower numbers, if anything, no numbers of immigrants will pass through at least this year or forever. And one of the things that, of course, means is that, and here you get it, I will say it to you now, 1 second, that Mexico said to the United States here, Mexico says it won't accept migrants sent back after the U.S. Supreme Court allowed Texas to enforce a immigration law. So I think one of the things that's funny is that Mexico is happy receiving aid from the United States and everybody in the one world, and also happy disregarding its people, doing nothing. Saying they do something, but then again they fail to do something. The country is lawless, and then they say they won't accept migrants again, which is, I mean, it's they're Mexican citizens, and what they're saying to Mexican citizens is, we won't accept you if the United States decides to throw you back to us, which is like saying we won't accept the garbage that's leaving our country. It's kind of like saying, right? It's kind of like saying it's kind of like, well, what could you be putting up as a great example for that? Oh, it's kind of like saying I throw out my garbage, right? But then as I throw out my garbage, they sort it out and they figure, oh, you can't throw this one out, and then they come back to me. That's not a great analogy. You get it. Yeah, it's kind of like if you threw out your kid, right? No, like if you threw out your kid and somebody came and said you can't throw out your kid, and you said, yeah, I can. I made a rule. So no, but yeah, that's a horrible thing to say. But anyways, it's true. Probably not. Anyways, we got some things going on here in Europe, but that's mainly the majority of things. The French are campaigning their propaganda. It's a great propaganda program, and I would like to jump on it and say, thank you, France. I think Putin is shitting his pants. Now, one thing I do want to point out here, guys, is that if you haven't heard it, the Belgrade region was in fact attacked by a separate Russian group. In fact, they are Russians that have left Ukraine. Not left Ukraine. That have it's actually two regions, two areas, two towns that's been attacked. Three areas, right? So one there and kind of bit there, and it is Russian separatists. They were Russian. They did fight for the Russian army, but they were then captured and or surrendered. Many of them were people who surrendered, and then they have retrained and decided to take the battle back to Russia, which is great. So that's one town there. One of this is in the Belgorod region. They're talking about the possible evacuation of it, so that's pretty good. But yeah, one of the things I want to point out here is this is pretty good. I never thought I was going to be able to see this, but I'm happy. Oh, wait, okay, look at that. Yeah, 4 regions, 4 areas there. They're probably going to try and push further. This is the first time they've actually stayed in the area. So one thing I want to point out is, for quite a while, they did, for some time back, if you weren't here, they did do this, and it's the same area they did it once before. But they decided back then not to stay. They gather intelligence and they gather areas in potential to be conducting what they're conducting now, which is quite an extraordinary feat. Now, I will say to you, Russia is huge, but it's the symbol that it puts forward, right? If Russia gives up a region, right, of like if it gives up this region right here, it is focusing all of its efforts right here, right? And if all of a sudden you have an enemy force, which is an extraordinarily clever move for Ukraine to be making, is saying we're gonna invade you guys right here. That means that they would have to reroute forces to be able to take care of that, and the minimal forces they'd be able to take care of this. You know, imagine if this turned into taking this whole region. That would be a nightmare for Russia. Because not only would Ukraine say, well, okay, well, we're not fighting against Russia, but let's send some soldiers in there to keep it up, right? To hold the area. You know, I mean, we're talking cut off of supplies. We're talking massive moral step back, and also a confidence decline in the Russian leadership called Putin. By the way, did you hear Putin won the elections? Can you believe it? I mean, I was on my tippy toes when I heard that he won its elections. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's, you know, I never thought he was going to be able to win. You know, because I just saw so many candidates this time, and there were so many candidates this time. You know, and there were so many, you know, they had so many debates and talks, and they were just doing, you know, and Putin, he even said, listen, guys, you should vote for some other guys. But apparently he passed with like 90% in favor, so pretty good, I say. And have we seen videos of police making sure? Yeah, I'm shocked too, Itchy, I'm shocked. Have we seen videos that says the police is in controlling the factor that who they're voting on? Yeah, but listen, they're just making sure that they tick other people's boxes, because everybody has been ticking Putin's box. That's the problem. Everyone's ticking and voting for Putin. These police guys, they're here saying, listen, guys, we're democracy. You guys have to vote for our people. You can't vote for Putin again. Come on, man. You know, and they've even been arresting people for voting for Putin for too many times. It's insane. I mean, I'm just shocked. I'm in shock and awe. That guy's just insane. Yeah. Yeah, welcome to Sarcasm 101. That was sarcasm, if you don't know. Yeah. Very great. Very great. It's been a while here. If you missed some of the stream here, go back to the start, or go to Flash News. Pretty great channel. Who's been talking? He's made a video of all things going on today. Go back at the start of the video. You can see that video there as well. For now, what I want to do is show you this guy right here. This is Zelensky, and he's made a 6-minute video here. He's gonna talk to you for 6 minutes. He's a great guy. And we'll see if anything else happens. All right, enjoy.
Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці, українки. Сьогодні черговий Рамштайн, зустріч країн, які підтримують нашу оборону, наш захист від російського терору. Це продуктивна зустріч, є результати. Міністр оборони України Умєров брав участь, чекаю його детальну доповідь. Зараз можна сказати кілька речей. Будуть нові оборонні пакети.
Donald Trump wins the Ohio Republican primary, CBS and NBC News have reported 1 minute ago from Insider Paper. So yeah, Trump just won in the Republican primary in Ohio. Yeah, there you go. No, I'm not a Trump guy, if that's what you think.
Зокрема, дефіцитна артилерія. Нові держави приєднуються до чеської ініціативи із закупівлі боєприпасів. Дякую всім. Звичайно, залишається незмінним пріоритет щодо ППО, РЕП та дронів. Дякую всім країнам, які реально працюють, щоб цей наш пріоритет був наповнений відповідним змістом. Українські дрони вже дають сильні результати. І маємо значно зміцнити міжнародний компонент співпраці. Фронт повинен відчути наше посилення щодо дронів. Я вдячний усім учасникам Рамштайну і Сполученим Штатам, міністру Остіну за лідерство. Також хочу сьогодні відзначити Німеччину за анонсований оборонний пакет – 500 мільярда євро. Артилерія та бронетехніка. Ми дуже цінуємо німецький внесок в захист українських життів і нашої незалежності. Провів нараду щодо нашої міжнародної роботи в березні-квітні. Готуються до підписання нові безпекові угоди з партнерами. Будуть і нові юридичні кроки для притягнення до відповідальності російських воєнних злочинців. Важливо, щоб цей рух до справедливості мав постійну енергію, постійне посилення. Я вдячний кожному в команді нашої держави та в усіх міжнародних інституціях, хто заради цього працює, заради справедливості. Російська держава, її керівництво та кожен воєнний злочинець повинні відповідати за все, що вони роблять, і, зокрема, відповідати саме в юридичній площині. Світ повинен бачити, як міжнародна юстиція працює у відповідь на агресію і терор. Лише один приклад зараз. Сумщина, наш регіон, який межує з російською територією. І це постійні російські спроби заведення ДРГ, постійні терористичні обстріли та удари. Наші прикордонні села російська армія намагається просто спалити до руїн. Лише від початку цього березня і по сьогодні російська авіація скинула лише на громади Сумщини вже майже 200 керованих бомб. Просто по селах, по містах, по цивільній інфраструктурі. Очевидна необхідність для України посилити нашу ППО таким чином, щоб унеможливити цей терор на Сумщині, на нашій Чернігівщині, Харківщині, в Донецькій області, на Луганщині, в південних наших регіонах, всюди, де це потрібно. Відповідні системи є у партнерів. Максимальне прискорення потрібне. І щодо F-16 також. Я дякую всім, хто допомагає. Важливо, щоб великі країни, які мають необхідну зброю, дійсно були великими у захисті життя. Не тримали цю зброю десь там на складах чи зберіганні, а щоб патріоти та все інше реально працювало для порятунку життів людей. Хочу відзначити сьогодні воїнів нашої Державної прикордонної служби України. Всі, хто знищує російських диверсантів, знищує їхні дрони, допомагає людям в прикордонних громадах України. Зокрема, відзначу воїнів Сумського загону, головний сержант Антон Шеремет, який разом з побратимами нещодавно відбив атаку російських ДРГ. Дякую за хоробрість. Старший сержант Юрій Васильєв та капітан Руслан Кравченко, дякую вам, хлопці, за допомогу місцевим під час обстрілів з території Росії. Також Чернігівський прикордонний загін, сержант Володимир Ігнатенко та старший сержант Юрій Павленко. Хлопці протидіють російським безпілотникам, захищають наших людей від ударів окупанта. Також Харківський прикордонний загін, старший солдат Владислав Байдуков, головний сержант Владислав Гуренко. Дякую за ефективність вам, хлопці. І також відзначу прикордонників бригади гвардії наступу «Сталевий кордон», які із іншими підрозділами Сил оборони разом б'ються на фронті і охороняють наш державний кордон. Особливо заслуговують на нашу вдячність цими тижнями старший солдат Роман Дубовський та сержанти Олег Кислий і Владислав Якименко, а також штаб-сержант Євген Дорошенко. Дякую вам, воїни, та усім вашим побратимам. Ще одне. Говорив сьогодні з президентом Європейської ради Шарлем Мішелем і про оборонну підтримку нашої держави, і про відносини з Євросоюзом, з державами-членами. Готуємось до засідання Європейської ради і до важливих європейських рішень цього року, економічних, зокрема щодо продовження лібералізації торгівлі України з Євросоюзом. Це один із життєво важливих елементів нашої стійкості у час захисту від російської агресії. І політичні рішення теж готуємо. Зокрема, для нас в Україні та для усієї Європи принципово, щоб реальні переговори щодо членства України почались в червні без затримок. І це буде правильний політичний сигнал, що Європа достатньо міцна і точно не піддасться російському тиску. Дякую всім світі, хто нам допомагає. Слава усім нашим людям, які б'ються і працюють заради України. Слава Україні!
There you go, big buddy. You still looking fresh as fuck. I ain't seen you in a while. I haven't seen that guy in a while. That's a good thing to be back at doing. Yeah. I got a doomsday plane up over the United States here. Foxtrot Charlie. Oh, that's not something. What is that? Oh, that's a helicopter. Right. I was confused about that one. We got a Boeing RC-135 outside just above, took off from what's that? That's Okinawa. Yeah, we know that one. We know that one. I also know Hiroshima and Fukushima, but that's for different reasons. Anyways, let's move on. I also know I know some things. You think I don't know stuff? I know stuff. I've always known stuff. Alright, anyways. So, the French is preparing to send a contingent of about 2,000 military personnel to Ukraine. Russian Foreign Intelligence chief claims, adding that these forces will be purely target for Russia. Right, there you go. So, not sure what people are saying, but these are initial deployments. So Russian Foreign Intelligence claims that these troops will be part of an initial deployment. No evidence presents that France plans to do this. I think Russia is trying to play under fears of people. There were some kind of attack here. Just give me a second here because I have it here. I want to share this with you as well. We had some things here as well. Oh yeah, a anti-communist protest in Cuba, which has been communist since the 1960s, is gaining momentum. Protesters have not started storming police stations. Protesters started storming police stations and are freeing people jailed during yesterday's protest. Got some videos there. Not sure I can show that. Just yeah. Here we have it. Okay, so the Moldovan, the Republic of Moldova government has released a statement reading today's attack on the Mi-8 utility helicopter operated with Transnistria Air Force, with them stating the incident in no question is an attempt to cause fear and panic across the region. The helicopter has not worked for several years. Moldova, in contact with the Ukrainian side, does not confirm any attack on the Transnistria region. It's very likely that they have targeted this area to say that this was an attack on a helicopter performed by Moldova, which they say Transnistria, which is a breakaway region of Moldova, which is predominantly communist and Russian favored, which actually might become part of Russia. There's been some voting taking place there, and I've talked about that before. But they stated that was an attack, and then Moldova said the helicopter hasn't worked for a while, and it wouldn't make sense for Moldova to all of a sudden attack them. So who do you believe? A random attack from Moldovan side. Moldova can't afford a war. It wouldn't be a very large war, but it will be a war. They wouldn't be able to afford it in any way, shape, or form. So for them to say, let's go to war, would be, well, how do you say, dumb. So yeah. The ancient Belgorod-Chik fortress in Bulgaria, a fortress been standing there since the times of the Roman Empire. The current fortress is a result of the expansion of the Roman fortress from the 14th century. Okay. Visegrad posted that. I don't know why he did that. It's not exactly news. I swear to God, Visegrad, they're like a team of news. They just change up what they do once in a while. Like they just do whatever they feel like doing. They just if they want to just send a little random stuff out once in a while, they do it. Oh, KP, welcome in. If you guys have missed any of the stream or if missing any of the news from today, go back further in the stream, all the way to the start of the stream, and watch the video of current events today from Flash News. You can also go onto Twitter and check out Flash News to get the news from there. Pretty good news source there. I'm just looking for the daily status of losses from the Russian army, which is right here. There we have it. They've lost 840 troops, 35 APVs, 50 vehicles, 10 tanks, 30 artillery systems, 10 UAVs, but that's a lot of artillery systems there. One anti-aircraft warfare system, good, and 4 special warfare equipment. Not a large day, but I mean, 50 vehicles and fuel tanks is a lot, so thank God there. Good job, Ukraine. Once again, proving they know what they're doing. Yeah, I just want to see if any of these numbers have risen a lot since I've checked them out. No, but we are getting close to 2,000 cruise missiles. That's gonna take a while to replace. 13,000 APVs. That's a lot. Probably gonna be quite a while since we're probably gonna be quite a while before we're gonna enter the 500 million. Sorry, what the fuck am I even saying? 500,000 point, which is going to be talked about. 500,000 soldiers. We're getting there. Lost. I think in total, very likely we're talking about 500,000 people, in soldiers, lost in this war, which is insane. I mean, majority of it is the Russians. But if you add the Ukrainian losses with the Russians, I'm certain that we were in 500,000 point, which is crazy to think about, because that's a lot of soldiers, the Russians, right? Look at that as well. So that's insane right there as well. That's one thing I want to talk about. I've talked about that before. The United States in World War II, right, lost 460,000. With may they rest in peace. The Russians, and this, by the way, war, they were in that war since 1941, so that was in 4 years. The Russians have lost in 2 years a little over this. They've lost 430,000 soldiers, so they're not too far apart. It's quite scary, isn't it? What, 17,000 something apart? Yeah. So that's insane. As well as the United Kingdoms, right? So more than soldiers than that. And that's one other thing I want to talk about as well. This is how the Russians fight. in World War II, the Soviet Union lost 24 million people. That was total civilians and military death. Yeah, 24 million people got killed from the Soviet Union in World War II. Which, I mean, that's what I'm saying. These Russians, they've never cared. It's always just been this fantasy of let's protect the motherland. They lost 24 million people because their fighting tactics was throw as many men as you can against the front and let's see who wins. You know, there wasn't any training. There wasn't enough food or proper. Well, they did have enough. Well, you get enough food. They did have things, but you know, it was a ridiculous military tactics. At the end, they were just throwing soldiers and soldiers. But thank God they did it. And I'm not going to sit here and say that those many lives lost, 24 million people lost. Many of those were, of course, young men who signed up to fight against the Nazis, who won against the Nazis and made sure that we don't fight in a Nazi world or live in a Nazi world, right? Which is, that's to them. That's to their credit. Of course, they did help the Nazis invade Poland to start with, so we're not going to forget about that, and invaded Finland. But many of those were just young men who didn't do that and who were just fighting against the Nazis. So, you know, it's a grand scope of time. We have to make sure that these guys are remembered for what they did. I want to do that, but think about what they were doing. You know, the Germans were fighting and killing Jews, and they were mass genociding. The Russians fought back against these Nazis. I like to say Nazis. But Brad Pitt in Inglourious Basterds, you know what he said? I'm in a Nazi killing business. Nazi. That's what he said. I love that. But yeah, that's what they were. They were in a Nazi killing business. It meant something. It was something. It's a terrible thing. War really is a terrible thing. But, you know, this war, to me, you know, for the Russians, I mean, talk about low morale, right? Because what are they doing? You know, what are they fighting for? That's my, you know, don't they have some kind of like, what are we fighting for? I understand that they're very, very, you know, the Russians, even to this day, is very ill-informed. They're not informed about what's going on in the rest of the world. Much like Americans, I hate to break it to you, America, but you don't know what's going on in the world, okay? Most Americans don't know what the fuck's going on in the world, okay? You know, it's a lot of brainwashing that's been taking place in America throughout the last years. Back in the time when I'm talking about the 1950s, 1960s, America was a great country and it was a great time, and people didn't really feel like knowing other countries, right? But yeah, listen, these superpowers or super countries, right, who have a lot of people who are very big, these countries, they've never felt like needing to teach their people about the outside world. Countries that are smaller tend to like to teach the outside world or just have a greater education. I don't know what it is, but, you know, I'm not going to sit here and shit on the fact that, okay, you know, America doesn't have the greatest education. You know you don't, but, I mean, I'm not going to, you know you don't. I'm not going to sit here and say it. You know you don't have a great education, you know, system. You have Harvard. I mean, I'm not talking about like the later systems. I'm talking about the preschool systems, the public schools. I mean, Jesus Christ, you know. Yeah, and what's the point of standing up every day and singing your song to the flag? You know, I mean, I don't know. It's sorry, yeah, I get it. I'm not gonna sit here and shit on it. We're on the same side here. Obviously, we are fighting against the Russians, and I gotta remember that. I gotta remember who we're fighting against, and it's not the other ones. It's a goddamn fascist, the commies, I like to call them. But yeah, it does suck. I was watching a clip from like on TikTok. I deleted TikTok today. Do you know why? Because I was watching a clip with an American who appears to have been a presidential or either politician leader who insisted that the Scandinavian myth of having a great school system. She continues to say, "Oh yeah, okay, so everybody thinks that Scandinavia is so great and they got great school systems, they know what they're doing." And then she kept saying like, "Oh my God, have you seen America? Have you even seen the American school systems? Have you seen them? They're so much better." Think about what she's saying. Have you seen the American school systems? Have you seen how great they are? That's what she's saying. Now, some areas, mainly private schools, are doing great. But when she says, "Have you seen the preschool? Have you seen the public schools?" Do you think she has? Do you think she goes out to public schools, goes to public schools and goes to check these places out? No, she doesn't. She lives in a bubble. Most politicians lives in a bubble. And this is not just an American thing. This is a Danish. This is a European worldwide thing. These politicians live in a bubble thinking everything is all right as long as they just do their job once in a while. Don't get me started. She doesn't know what the fuck's going on. What is she talking about? Since she goes on to say like, "Oh yeah, but America is paying for the for the European defense budget. They're the ones paying the bills." It was just like, which is totally ridiculous. I'm not gonna sit here and say that we aren't very reliant on the factor that we have a great power with us, with the United States. But what she's doing is acting like the United States is like they uphold their economy without anyone else, which is false. And then she says, "Oh yeah, but Europe needs our protection constantly," which is true. But let me just point something out for you, princess. Without Europe, or without Europe propping up your dollar and helping you consist and actually have a global market, you wouldn't be a global superpower. Okay? Because newsflash, no one likes the United States anymore. The only people wanting to trade with the United States, because we have to, because we're in a union, because we're in a military alliance, is the European Union. That's what it is. So, sweetheart, without us, you're nothing. Without the United States, Europe is also nothing, defense-wise. And I agree. So we are dependent on each other. Europe is very dependent on the United States. Likewise. You'd be hard-pressed to find an American that says something positive about our school system. Yeah. Listen. There are a lot of great things about your school systems. There really is. There are things that works. And I'm not sitting here and shitting on it all. There are things, of course, in the United States that works. But you know what things work in the United States? Things that aren't supervised by the government. You think, what is she talking about? Well, take a look. Things that aren't supervised or not even paid attention to by the government tends to be the things that works the best. Why? Because not only do they have their own ideas that make this thing the thing, but people actually get to decide upon this thing. The people who do the thing, do the thing. This is my philosophy here, and correct me if I'm wrong. Why is it that most world governments feel the need to be part of everyday life of the everyday citizen? Why not just let people do what the hell it is that they want to do? Okay? We have a free market. We have a free economy. We have a free world. Let people do whatever they want to do. Keep the government small. Have the government run the country in the sense that it makes sure the inflation stays low and jobs are there and jobs are high. Make sure, let the government do their job, ensuring the country continues to exist. Stop intervening in every little detail of our lives. That's the reason why most fucking governments are failing, because the government feels the need to be part of every single decision you make. They are there every single time. It's ridiculous. I like the factor that in Denmark we have a system where people help each other and there are things in place to make sure, that we're not going broke. But that's where it stops. I don't need the government to decide when I can take a bus or when I can get my allowance or you get it. When I can get a phone or when I can, why do the government needs? There's no need. Just let people do whatever they want to do, right? Let people be people. And if they break the laws, they break the laws. There's this. You don't make it so simple. It's very simple running it. It's not simple running a government, but in practice, it's quite simple. Just let people do whatever they want to do. Let people work. Let people do what they want to do. Let people that are good at what they're doing do what they're doing and decide their own fates. I'm just gonna say it, right? I'm just gonna say it. Letting teachers decide what the kids needs to learn. Yeah, listen, the whole thing about teachers, right? There are great teachers, and then there's teachers that shouldn't be teachers, okay? If teachers are not good at teaching, they shouldn't be teaching. If teachers aren't good at handling kids or being around kids, they don't like it, they shouldn't be teaching. If you're in a kindergarten and you hate kids, why the fuck did you take that education? I'll tell you why. Because when they're doing their education, they have this false image in their head, right? They're like, oh my God, when I get to this school, I'm going to do so much great for these kids. And they get to the school and they're fucking demons, And then they ask themselves, well, why are there great teachers and why are there good teachers? Because those great teachers are the teachers who tend to just go with the flow. The teachers who aren't great is the teachers who seem to think the children are like fucking military units, right? Like you walk into the classroom and, that's kind of, most teachers have this idea that children are military units, right? The colonel walks into the room and everybody goes, stand up. And, they go up and they stand and they go, oh my God, hey, colonel, salute, And that's what teachers expect, right? They don't expect, what they really don't imagine is them being insubordinate, right? Disobeying direct orders, ridiculous. But yeah, there are people who are good at what they're doing, so then let people decide the fate of their practice, because the people who are good at what they're doing don't need government supervision to tell them what they're good at doing. I don't know how to farm. If I ever become a politician, I'm not going to tell people how to farm, okay? I don't know how to run an economy. I'm going to let the people who know how to run an economy run an economy. Just like, what are we doing? Like, the government continues to make, okay, here's last thing, right? I don't know if you guys like me talking about this or not, but one last thing I'm going to say before we move on here. I hate the fact that the government is continuously making new rules that don't need to exist. And this is the only thing I've talked about before. There's no such thing as a book expert, okay? There's no such thing as a child expert. There's a child expert, but they're not the ones who studied their way to become a child expert. No, they're the ones who have actually been in the field. The people who've worked for 20 to 30 years with children. They're experts. They're the people we should be listening to. I don't give a fuck about some Harvard, some Harvard fucking not dropout, fucking Harvard Ivy League motherfucker coming in telling me how to run my kindergarten if I've been into practice for 30 fucking years and I've done that practice great? I don't need some Harvard motherfucking Ivy League motherfucker thinking he's great, you know. Oh, this is how you're gonna do it. Hey, here's a tip. Shut the fuck up, you know, like, you know, like I'm just being honest with you, buddy. I don't give a fuck what the fuck you say. But the factor is, we tend to prop these people up, right? We tend to say, listen, these people, they've done a lot of education, right? Okay, so the government tends to say, well, actually, you're the one who has to shut up. Okay, we know you've been working in this field for 20 to 30 years. You've done a great job for 20 to 30 years. You've done an amazing job, right? You know exactly what you're doing. But actually, we're going to have you be, you know, not the boss anymore. We're going to put this new young kid who's an Ivy Harvard motherfucker, right? Come in and be your boss. He doesn't know what he's doing. You know, he's going to need at least 5 years before he actually knows what he's doing. But for those 5 years, he's going to make your life hell, right? Chances of him listening to you? Minimal, you know? Bullshit, you know? Bullshit. Well, thank you, Witchy. I feel like it's the truth to me. But it's bullshit, right? What the fuck does that even... Like, if there's somebody who's the master of farming, who's been farming for 50 fucking years, I'm not gonna go up to him as a fucking 20-year-old and go up to him and say, hey, listen, hey, actually, you should be doing this instead of that, you know? He's gonna smack me across the face, say shut the fuck up. And I respect that shit. You know, if he smacked me across my face and said shut the fuck up, I know what I'm doing, I respect that shit. Because he knows what he's doing. Like here's a general tip for most government. Mind your own fucking business and shut the fuck up for once in a while. Maybe things will go better then. Stop interfering in everything. God damn. I'm just being honest with you. I mean, I wish people would just fucking shut the fuck up for a second, you know? Mind their own fucking business for a second. I wish it. Am I gonna get my wish? I don't know. Donald Trump wins Florida Republican presidential primary. 2 minutes ago, I've just got this in. So he's now won. That was Idaho. So that was Idaho. Okay, so now he's won Idaho and now Florida. All right. Donald Trump is on a win streak here. By the way, TikTok. I've heard a lot about it. I've heard that TikTok might be banned in the United States. A lot of people tend to say, oh, that's a good thing. Not that I'm in a disagreement with it. I just think, well, what we really have to do is tell the parents, teach parents about TikTok. You know, tell them about it. Show them what it is. Because we've done that in Denmark. And lately, there's been a lot less TikTok users. You know why? Because all of a sudden, parents know what TikTok is all about. It's disturbing. It's disgusting. I'm not going to let my child have a phone before they're fucking 15. I don't have a child, but I'm not going to let it. You know why? He or her or whatever, right? Well, thank me. Keep your children away from social media. They don't need it. Let them go outside. Let them have a fucking childhood. Let them have the childhood I had. I was outside constantly. I was never inside. I would never. If you were to ask me, as a kid, we went to a vacation house, near a lake. The lake house? Oh my god. I was never inside. But nowadays, all they want to do is fucking watch their phones, be on their phones, being inside. Like, come on. Get those fucking kids outside. I'm tired of it. They need it, if they want to live longer, they really need it. The IDF says a cruise missile coming from the direction of the Red Sea fell north of Eilat yesterday in an open area. No casualties and no damage reported. I wonder who's firing off cruise missiles. Could be Yemen. I mean, direction. Oh, yeah. Mexico announces it. I'm not sure. You're not sure what the inside of your house looks like as a child? Exactly. That's what I'm talking about with you. You're not sure about it because you were never inside. That's right. Mexico announces it won't, under any circumstances, accept the return of any illegal migrants. That's such a fucking bullshit statement. I accept the return of any illegal migrants. Like, they're not illegal migrants when they live in your country. That's kind of like the United States. And I've got a great one this time. United States saying we won't accept any illegal migrants that's coming back from Mexico who's United States citizens. Like what? They're not illegal migrants. They're not even migrants. They're citizens. Like, you know, yeah. Texas just won a case in the Supreme Court giving the state the right to deport illegal migrants. So there you go. But here's what I say to Mexico. If you want your aid money to keep your bullshit government going, here's a tip, Mexico. Shut the fuck up. It's a great tip. I've been giving it to a lot of people lately. Shut the fuck up, you know. If you want to keep your fucking government going, you want to keep your fake corrupt government going by having money from the United States, which apparently the United States thinks is a good thing. I don't know. Morally, I guess they're doing the right thing. Here's the thing. Shut the fuck up. It's a crazy idea. I know, guys. I'm crazy right now, but I just want to why don't you just, shut the fuck up. Like, it's just, wow, I can't believe I came up with that. I am just on fire today, right? Regarding my statements. Yeah, it's just going great. It's going great. I love it. Yeah. There you go. All right. It's a valid. I think it's a valid thing to say. Shut the fuck up. Right? Shut the fuck up. The Prince Charles of England came out with a statement today. And if you thought I was gonna play it to you, I'm not. Why? Because I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck. Do I give a fuck about Prince Charles? No. I'm Danish, motherfucker. I give a shit about my king. He's not my king. I give a shit about my king. King Frederick X. Let's go. Yeah. Despite the Niger military junta recently announcing the immediate end of to all cooperation agreements with the United States Armed Forces and then claiming that 2 American air bases in the country are there illegally, senior U.S. defense officials stated today that there are no plans on the withdrawal of American forces in Niger anytime in the near future, with regular military fights between the air base 110 to 210 and bases in Europe and the Middle East expected to continue unimpeded. There you go. I gotta tell you something, right? I'm not directly a hater of the United States, but you know my opinions about it. I'm not a fan. Not the people as well. I just want to point this out. When I say I'm not a fan of the United States, I'm not like saying, oh, I'm not a fan of the people. No. Listen, the people is not my problem. Okay? There are certain people within the United States that I don't like. That's true. And those certain peoples are the leadership of the United States, which is what I don't like, and the way they're running their country. That's the one I don't like. When I say that, it doesn't mean like I'm saying, oh, I don't like the people of the United States. Like that's ridiculous. Because saying you don't like a whole population is ridiculous. Of course, I can like, and I have a lot of respect for a lot of them, and that's not what I'm trying to point out here. Really, what I'm trying to say is the leadership of the United States is just ridiculous. Because the factor is, I'll be honest with you, having seen what Niger has been doing lately and what they've done regarding their country, the Niger military junta might be, I hate to say it, but it might be one of the best things that's happened for Niger for a while. And the reason why I'm saying that, and you're not gonna, and don't hate me here, okay? Niger was, before this military government came around, France, for example, was mining uranium in Niger, and they were doing it through proper channels, as they like to say, but the channels, they were rusty, the roads were bad, the equipment given to these uranium miners were bad, the casualties, the fatalities were high, and the money was low, the payment didn't make any sense. I mean, you know, Niger was earning maybe 60 million off the uranium mining, and France was earning what is amount to 10 times more, 600 million, you know, a year. Or that might actually have been, maybe it was billions, but I don't know. It could have been billions. It could have been billions, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, it could have been 60 billions compared to 60, but I think it's in the millions. But that's a lot different. France took the raw uranium from Niger, you know, exported it to France, refined it in France, and then sold it, because refined uranium is worth a lot more. Because you can actually use refined uranium, and we have, of course, nuclear power plants. So sure that sort of things they use it for. Couldn't name it, but yeah. And Niger said, "Well, fuck that. We're not doing that. You know, what we want to do." The military government said that we want fair pay. You know, we want part of that. We want to maybe in the future refine it ourselves and then sell it to Europe. You know, maybe Niger could refine it in their own country and earn profits off that, helping their own country. And do I think that sounds like a ridiculous statement coming from military government saying that, hey, we just want to earn some money so we can actually pay off, so we can pay some money to our people and build a proper country. Now, do I know if they're going to keep this promise? Do I know if they're going to use the money for military equipment or terrorism? Couldn't tell you. But chances are they're not. Chances are lately that people did, well, they've turned it around. So, you know, I don't know, right? I don't know. It's not that I'm against the U.S. military bases being there, but the reason why the Niger government doesn't want them there is because they blame a lot of what happened, or what has happened in their country, you know, the very unstable amount to the United States, which has some truth to it. I mean, a constant fighting, because the United States isn't a constant fight down there, you know, it brings along unstable times. So I can't, again, disprove it, but, you know, I don't want to sound like an anti-American or anti-Western. I'm not, but, you know, I have my preferences, and again, the people of America, you know, I've always said this, you guys are great. You guys are resourceful. There's a lot of you guys that do a great job. And I think when I say I don't like France, or I don't like America, it's mainly because I say I don't like the leadership. Which, by the way, is not just a West European statement. It's an American statement. A lot of Americans are unhappy with the leadership. So, who am I in the wrong with here? You know? So that's something. Listen, it's a talk in itself, and I get people making mad at me, but listen, I know, right? It's the modern culture nowadays turning against you, but I'm a little tired of it. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little tired of the whole idea of the United States having military bases all over the place. I mean, what they're doing is propping up a conflict that constantly takes conflicts. But I also understand that if they didn't, then Russia or China would have it. And then we would live in a more communist world. So at the same time, it's a fine balance. I think if Europe and the United States was real about actually turning these countries into democracy countries, you know, we've been better, we could do better. Absolutely, Witchy. I mean, you guys need to come back. And I think you are, in some senses, coming back. But there is some work to do. And hopefully one day we'll see a return of that. great nation that we know, but you know, it does require some change in leadership is what I say, you know. So, whatever, right? Whatever. It's fine. I appreciate a lot of what the United States does, and I will say, regards to veterans or people who fought in the Middle East, or regards to people who keep us safe regarding these terrorist attacks, thank you. God bless you, because you are true heroes. And regarding you being a veteran, I understand it, you know. So I have a respect for all the veterans. I really do. Some less than others. I mean, mainly it's like, for me, I have less respect for the newer veterans, you know. The reason why I say that is because most of the war nowadays have turned into like an air battle. You know, like they say they're veterans, but they spent the whole time in the air or on a ship firing cruise missiles or into the air. It's like, oh yeah, you're a veteran, but like, did you do any fighting? You know, like, yeah. So I don't know. Obviously the ones I have most respect for, World War II veterans, definitely. And I don't think the Vietnam soldiers get enough credit for what they did. I mean, but a lot of people tend to think and say that Vietnam or the war in Vietnam was like a worthless war. But at the end of the day, it was a war against communism, which, by the way, has turned Vietnam into the worst economical and inflationized country in the world. I mean, the inflation here in Vietnam is insane. So, hey, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that it worked out great for him, because I don't think it did. So, yeah. Whatever. Trump won Republican presidential primary in Ohio, Florida, and Illinois. Damn, he just won free pages right just like that. All right. Anyways, listen, guys, it's 1:30 a.m. here, and I'm gonna go to bed. I'm sorry. I am gonna head to bed because I'm tired. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for stopping by. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. If these Kings kick off, I'm sorry I haven't been doing as much live as I wanted to. It's mainly because I've had so much other things and school and stuff, so I wanted to make sure I get that done. Of course, want to make sure that school gets done. It's of course important, so I can move on, do some greater things or do some other things, and blah blah blah. Right? So, well, of course, we'll get to that one day. But maybe I'll see you guys a little bit more. Maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see. But there's a lot of things happening in the world, and I want to keep you guys updated. So maybe I will see you guys. Watch the video again if you missed anything. Most of the important stuff is in the start of the video if you want to go check that out as well. So yeah. What? Okay. Okay. Anyways, have a good time. Thank you so much for stopping by.